Hi everybody and welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you are new to my channel, my name is Julie Montague, the American Viscountess. And here on my channel, I visit historic houses across the UK, but I also give you an inside peek into my life as an American Viscountess, as well as travels to Italy to see the really the restoration and redecoration of my little Piccola Casa that I bought during the pandemic. So if you haven't watched that video yet on how I bought my little Italian house during the pandemic, you can find the link down below. That has now 1.3 million views, which is crazy. So thank you all for watching that. I also then did a follow-up video on how to buy a house in Italy, and that one has over 700,000 views, so do check that out as well. But today's video is all about how I learned Italian and really my 5 top tips if you're interested in becoming fluent as well.
È possibile per te a dire tuo nome?
Sì, Daniele.
Daniele.
Il nome è Daniele.
So I started to learn Italian right after I signed on the dotted line for my Piccola Casa, my little house in Italy back in 2020. I knew that I had obviously was successful in buying the house, but it was right before the pandemic. I literally signed the papers to say, yes, I verbally and also in written form agreed to buy this house in February 2020, and then Italy went into a big lockdown and so forth. But even though I couldn't see my house throughout all of 2020, I couldn't get there. I had to have people over in Italy take over power of attorney in order to really seal the deal. I made a commitment to myself that I would learn Italian.
Ciao a tutti, benvenuto e io sono qui.
I wanted to be able to go over to my house and actually immerse myself not only in just the culture and the history and the art, but I also wanted to, on a social level, be able to speak fluently eventually, but speak when I went into shops and restaurants and any new friends I might meet as well, which I have luckily. So I wanted to give you 5 top tips of how I learned Italian. I'm not fluent yet, but I can definitely get around speaking the language, no problem. You can see from some of my other Italian videos when I'm visiting places, finding antiques or dealing with the builder at my Piccola Casa. They only speak Italian to me, and therefore I only have no choice but to speak Italian back to them. So whether or not you're interested in just learning Italian language because you love it like I love the Italian language as well, or you're interested in one day living in Italy or visiting Italy, these are my 5 top tips. So first and foremost, I'm actually going to start with sort of digitally and how I started myself. Started my first ever lesson during the pandemic, April 1st, 2020. I wanted to make sure that my Italian tutor was actually from Italy. So I did a little bit of research and I came across this platform called verbalplanet.com. I did a little bit of research on the tutors there. I chose a tutor and I did a trial session with my tutor, who I've had now almost, well, actually, maybe by the time this video airs on YouTube, it will be the 2-year anniversary of doing lessons with my tutor. And I was really committed. I signed up for my first lesson. She was great. And from there on out, I've been averaging 3 lessons a week. Sometimes I'll do 5, sometimes I'll do 4. They're 45-minute lessons through Skype. It's an amazing platform. You can do all your booking on verbalplanet.com, and then you get a reminder that your lesson is coming up. You click on Skype and there's your tutor. And for me, it was really brilliant because we started at the very beginning. I had studied French a little bit in high school and a little bit in college in America, but even though it's a Latin language like Italian, I'd forgotten everything. So it was like I was starting from scratch. So if I can do it, you can do it. But I was committed. And she was is brilliant and really taking it step by step and to the pace that I wanted to go at. And I do think that they're really, really affordable. So there's different levels of what you want to pay. For me in the UK, it's around £15 for that 45-minute lesson, which is brilliant. So that's one way I started to learn was Verbal Planet. Do check it out. I put the link down below, whatever language you want to learn, but of course, Italian in particular. I'm a bit biased. Once I started to really understand a little bit more of the language, I decided that I really should probably immerse myself in listening to it, not just from my tutor, but just listening. And so on YouTube, you knew that YouTube was going to come up. YouTube's amazing. YouTube, I found this amazing channel called Italian Fairy Tales. So again, the link is down below. It's at a slower pace. I mean, it's made for children, right? It's made for young children. And for me, it was at the perfect pace. And also you can watch it in either English subtitles or Italian subtitles. So when I first started watching Italian fairy tales, I would have the English subtitles on. Obviously they were speaking in Italian. And then sure enough, I was able to really transition to switching my settings so that they would be Italian subtitles. So it's Italian being spoken and then Italian subtitles as well. My advice would be to listen to it in Italian, but have the English subtitles first, especially if you're new to learning Italian, and then switch over to Italian, obviously voiceover, and then Italian subtitles. And that massively improved my speech, but also listening in particular really, really helped my listening habits. Another great way is through a podcast called Coffee Break Italian. I love it. Like, I'm obsessed with Coffee Break Italian with Mark and Francesca. Oh my gosh, I love it, love it, love it. So it starts really, season 1 is kind of for beginners. And so I did start there. I started with season 1, and then season 2 is you get in a little bit more of the grammar, which I'm going to get into in a second. It becomes more of an advanced beginner, lower intermediate. One of my favorites is part of season 2, we move into these soap operas. So now, once they've kind of explained the formalities and how the grammar works, they start to put it all together, and they created an amazing soap opera. And soap opera for me was brilliant for when I was on the tube in London, or if I was commuting down to Dorset here on the train, I could just put my headphones on and I would pick up where I left off. And I didn't understand it all at once, but I've listened to that soap opera several times because A, it's a really good soap opera, and it's a mix between English and Italian, actually. So it's really, really nice. And then after you listen to the entire soap opera, each episode, they break it down. So they break down different popular phrases like che ne dici di that you will hear in Italy, and also the different tenses of the verbs. So from the imperfect to the past to the present to the subjunctive. It's incredible. So that I would definitely, for my number 3, is to check out Coffee Break Italian podcast. It is amazing. And then as you kind of move on, those would be the first 3 places I would start with. You'll start to move on, and my teacher has just bumped me up to upper intermediate on Verbal Planet. So I'm now B2. And if you are looking at Verbal Planet right now, you can see that there are different stages. So I've been bumped up to B2. I'm really happy. And lucky for me, I have a son who studied Italian during his secondary school or high school years, and also at university right now. That's his major. He's majoring in Italian. And his school gave him this book. This was one of his books, and it is brilliant. And you know that it's good when all of a sudden you look on the inside and it was published in Florence, right? Firenze right here. So this is Essentials of Italian Grammar with exercises, tests, answer keys, and an Italian-English dictionary. Honestly, this is probably, and I have actually bought several books that I found online that were recommended, but this is the best one that I have found, and it's called Ecco. You can see it, and it's so brilliant. But I would say that get some of your, this is more of, probably more of a lower intermediate standard. So if you've done the top 3 and you've got in with your Verbal Planet tutor or wherever else you want to find a tutor, you are listening to the Italian fairy tales, and also you are listening to Coffee Break Italian, then I would say if you want a workbook, this is the one that I prefer. I absolutely love it. Then lastly is, again, kind of alongside the Italian fairy tales as far as listening, but Netflix. So I started watching Netflix, and I really did my research on what would be good for me as sort of a lower intermediate, now moving up to upper intermediate, and what I like personally. So I like crime TV, and I found 2 really good series. One is called Il Processo, which is the trial, and it's really about a group of characters that were implicated in the murder of a person. I'm sorry to sound so gruesome, but it's been staged and it's a reenactment. They're all searching for the truth. They're waiting for a verdict. It causes them to kind of go on a new course of their life. And again, a great way to watch this is if you're a beginner, listen to it in Italian, but have the English subtitles, but then eventually put your Italian subtitles on. Like, that's super, super important to put your Italian subtitles on. And then the other one I can recommend here is Nero e Meta, which is Carlo and Malik. And it's really just about a detective and a rookie who team up together about trying to solve a string of murders in Rome. Again, like I said, I like crime TV. If crime TV isn't your thing, just do some research on what you like to watch, but make sure it's in Italian. Move from those English subtitles to Italian subtitles as well. And then really as a bonus, I know that this is really about 5 tips for fluency. Of course, there are lots of apps out there as well. I've tried many of the apps. I've tried Babbel, I've done Busuu, I've done Duolingo. So experiment with all of those apps. If you're interested in doing an app, experiment. Those are the 3 apps that I experimented with. You can experiment with those. I don't really use apps anymore, to be honest, because I'd rather listen to my podcast or watch the Italian fairy tales or watch a good Netflix crime TV, but obviously all in Italian. And then obviously be online with my tutor. But for starting out, I definitely used one of those. At different times, I've used all 3 of those apps, but at different times I was using one and then I'd switch to the other. So Busuu, Babbel, or Duolingo are both excellent apps to use as well. So that is how I started my journey on learning Italian. And I have not stopped. I really can't think of a week where I wasn't immersing myself in some sort of Italian language through these different platforms that I've been using. And I hope that if you are interested in learning Italian, that you will start it, that you will check out at least one of these 5 tips. And really the key with learning a language is to never give up and to continue. And like with anything in life, I know that we can all be bombarded with our job or with family life, and a lot of times our hobbies are the first things to go. I will just say that I'm so proud of myself for sticking with it for 2 years now. And even my children and my husband are like, we can't believe that you've stuck with it for 2 years. And it's so wonderful for me now to be able to travel to Italy and actually have a full-blown conversation with my builder at my Piccola Casa in all Italian and understanding it all and being able to communicate back with him and go into the restaurants and into the shops and be able to communicate with people. So if you're keen on learning Italian, like I was, definitely stick with it. It will come and you will be so proud of yourself. So do comment down below if you have found other sources of platforms or any other exercises or places where you study Italian. Do comment down below. I would love to hear from you. And of course, be sure to subscribe to my channel, like this video, and be sure to turn notifications on. I'll be filming a lot more in Italy, and you'll hear me speak as well in the next couple of weeks as my little house, my Piccola Casa, is full-blown under construction now. So ci vediamo, a dopo, grazie mille, and hope to see you back here soon. Bye everybody.